And we speculated as to whether or not Ireland would take an equaliser. They've got a point out of this, but the reaction of the crowd, very, very telling. And you just wonder, Jim, is that enough to save the manager?
Very poor performance, very disappointing, and I can understand from the fans' point of view, it's not good enough.
Staunton should be gone! Staunton out!
It was an embarrassing night for Irish football.
A disjointed mess, it lacked direction, it lacked composure, it was awful.
The crowd see it, the whole country can see it. We're nowhere at the moment.
On the 24th of October 2007, Steve Staunton was relieved of his duties as Ireland manager after failing to qualify for the 2008 European Championships. The third competition in a row that Ireland had failed to qualify for. Under the management of Brian Kerr, Ireland had finished 3 points off a playoff place for Euro 2004 and only 1 point off a playoff place for the 2006 World Cup. Staunton's Ireland, however, would finish a seismic 10 points adrift of a playoff place. Fans and media alike were sceptical of Staunton's appointment. While he was a well-respected professional during his playing career, having over 100 caps for Ireland and playing in every match Ireland have ever played at a World Cup, still unfortunately true. This was his first foray into management, a huge risk when you consider the quality of the team Staunton had at his disposal. Boasting future Premier League legends like Robbie Keane, who was Tottenham's main man at the time, John O'Shea in the middle of his well-decorated Man United career, Ireland's greatest ever goalkeeper Shea Given between the sticks, Premier League winner Damien Duff, Champions League winner Steve Finnan, as well as Richard Dunn, Aidan McGeady, Kevin Kilbane and Lee Kersley, a squad full of players either in the middle of or on the brink of their prime. Many believed that this appointment was a sign of a lack of ambition for the FAI. A burgeoning squad like this needs a manager to match it. Staunton was seen as a potential yes man, one of the lads brought in because it was the easiest thing to do. Ireland's first game under Staunton seemed to allay some of these fears. A 3-0 win at Lansdowne Road against Sweden, with goals from Duffer, Keano,
And it's Robbie Keane who's through!
and Liam Miller.
Good break this for Ireland. He's gone for the hit! Oh, what a goal!
Although this hope would be short-lived, as it was followed by a run of 4 losses in a row, including 2 losses that began Ireland's Euro 2008 qualifying campaign. A 1-0 loss in Germany was followed by the most embarrassing result of Staunton's reign. A 5-2 hammering at the hands of Cyprus.
And Paddy Kenny is beaten, and Cyprus have scored again. It's 2-1 to the home team.
2-2 at half-time, Staunton's men would concede 3 unanswered goals in the second half.
Constantino's penalty, no mistake. And that was nicely put away. And Ireland all over the place again, and this should be it. 4. Well, it was too easy. Ireland simply all over the place. Alanoctus with a left-footed cross, very good one. Oh, saved by Paddy Kenny, and now it's put away. It's goal number 5, and that really is that.
A side that had lost their opening qualifier 6-1 at the hands of Slovakia had embarrassed this new Ireland side in only Staunton's second competitive game in charge.
Sorry, Des, look, I haven't a clue.
Seemingly justifying the fears around his appointment. Though Ireland's next 6 qualifiers would yield 4 wins, 2 of those wins were against San Marino, with Stephen Ireland saving Staunton's blushes with the 90th minute winner in the away tie.
Oh, would you believe it? Would you believe it?
In 2007, Ireland would begin their brief stint in Croke Park with 1-0 wins over Wales and Slovakia. This, however, would be the end of Staunton's positive period as Ireland manager, ending qualification with 3 draws and a loss.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Staunton's reign would fittingly end with a 1-1 draw against the team that first embarrassed him, Cyprus.
Makridis. It's his cross, they're all arriving! Oh dear! It's Ocaridis who scored for Cyprus!
Made worse by the fact that Ireland had to snatch a draw in the dying minutes with an equaliser from Steve Finnan.
Now it's Finnan arriving! And there's the equaliser!
Staunton would be gone a week later, with his biggest doubts ultimately proven right.
That was a horrible, horrible watch.
Despite best intentions, Steve Staunton would go down as one of Ireland's worst ever men. Oh, he's from Drogheda. Perhaps Ireland's most underrated coach? Oh, he played for Dundalk. Oh, never mind.
And someone has to call it. Okay. Instead of having these guys hanging around with a thread of credibility for another 3 or 4 years.
The Ireland team were left in turmoil, in desperate need of a leader.
Everybody knows now that the gamble failed.
And everybody having a ball until the fellas started in call.
Anglo-Irish Bank. Release the hounds.
Oggi spille Balder o oggi spille Trapattoni? Müssen alleine das Spiel gewinnen.
Giovanni Trapattoni. Football royalty. He had been everywhere and done it all. Titles in Italy, Germany, Portugal, and most recently, Austria. During 2 spells at Juventus, he racked up 6 Scudettos, 2 Coppa Italias, 2 UEFA Cups, a Cup Winners' Cup, and his magnum opus, the 1985 European Cup. At Inter, he would claim a Scudetto and a UEFA Cup, a Bundesliga title and Pokal Cup with Bayern Munich, the Primera Liga with Benfica, and the Austrian Bundesliga with Salzburg. Trapattoni was a world-renowned manager, famous for his defensive style, dogmatic approach, and the fact that he was fucking mental.
Über diese Spiele! Einer ist Mario, einer ist der andere Mehmet. Stumpf sprechen nicht, ich spiele nur 25% des Spiels.
He was a passionate, galvanising and angry figure in the dressing room. After decades of club football, Trapattoni would finally take the opportunity to coach the Italian national side. This, however, would end in disaster for Trapp. Taking over from Dino Zoff, who led Italy to the final of Euro 2000, Trapattoni would only manage to guide Italy to a round of 16 exit at the 2002 World Cup, followed by a group stage exit at Euro 2004. This left Giovanni with something left to prove on the international stage. And at the beginning of 2008, with Trapattoni's time at Salzburg coming to a close, and Ireland still looking for a manager, the stars seemed to align.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to extend a huge Céad Míle Fáilte to the new manager of the Republic of Ireland senior team, Mr. Giovanni Trapattoni.
The following announcement has been paid for by Dennis O'Brien. On the 1st of May 2008, Giovanni Trapattoni was unveiled as the new manager of the Republic of Ireland, to the amazement of a nation. Only Ireland's 3rd ever foreign manager, with the last being Ireland's most successful manager, Jack Charlton. Hopes were high heading into World Cup qualification.
Now at the time at 9:30, don't mind that clock, we hand you over to Brendan O'Reilly for the sport.
Ireland's qualifying campaign began with 3 games to see out 2008. Georgia and Montenegro in September, and Cyprus in October. In his first competitive game, Trapattoni would deploy a 4-4-2, which he would go on to use in every competitive game during his 5-year reign. Against Georgia, Ireland lined up with a few players that would be stalwarts in Trapattoni's side. Given in goal, Donnan O'Shea at centre back, Kilban at left back, Aidan McGeady ahead of him, Stephen Hunt on the opposite side, Whelan in the middle, and a pairing up top of Keane and Doyle. Rounding at the side were Finnan and Reid.
Perhaps Keane now. McGeady on the overlap, good cross, 1-0 Ireland!
Trapp's men would return home with all 3 points. Ireland would draw away to Montenegro in their next game, followed by a 1-0 win over Cyprus. Beginning the campaign in great style. 2 tough away fixtures out of the way, and a victory against an omen from the previous campaign.
In the context of yesterday's performance, no, against Cyprus, how good is this Irish side? Huh? Right.
2009 would begin with 2 home games. A 2-1 win in the return game against Georgia, and a 1-1 draw with Bulgaria. Next for Ireland was the big one. Italy. In Italy. To face a side consisting of Buffon, Cannavaro, Chiellini, Pirlo, and a forward line boasting the likes of... Despite going down to 10 men, Italy would take the lead. Ireland would spend the second half pushing for that equaliser, and would eventually find one. Given sent a hopeful ball into the Italy box, and after a scramble, who else but Robbie Keane would smash the ball in to send Ireland back to Dublin with a point against the world champions. A monumental result for Trapp, as this shows the resiliency he instilled into the side. Now Ireland were undefeated halfway through the group with a firm grasp on that playoff place.
We were up in Rome the weekend, so we had a word with the Pope and he said a few prayers for us, so hopefully.
Ireland would follow this up with a draw against Bulgaria and another win over Cyprus, before facing Italy again in Dublin.
And so this is all about who's going to finish top of the group.
Liam Lawrence and Sean St. Ledger were added to the usual side. Ireland started the game like a house on fire, when a free kick was pulled back to Glenn Whelan outside the box, who slotted the ball into the top left corner, completely surprising the Italian defence.
Not the first time we've seen him do that. Glenn Whelan began this campaign in Mainz with a goal just like that against Georgia, and he's done it again.
Italy would equalise 20 minutes later.
Oh, sir, it's there. It's Cameronese.
Undeterred, Ireland would still push for a win.
Out of the middle, Robbie Keane still has it. Robbie Keane still blocked by Chiellini, and the corner save. No, it's not. It's a corner to Ireland.
He can just pick passes out all day.
It's Hunt, and Zambrana knocks him over.
And this ambition would pay off, when in the dying embers of the game, Stephen Hunt would send a free kick deep into the box, to be met by the diving head of Sean St. Ledger.
It's there! It's Sean St. Ledger's first international goal, and what a time to get it! 87th minute, and Sean St. Ledger has put Ireland in front.
Ireland had taken the lead against the champions of the world. A real sign of how far Trapattoni had taken his team in only a year. The sky seemed like the limit for this Ireland side. The plane was practically booked for South Africa. Italy would equalise 5 minutes later.
Oh, chance here! Oh, it's there! It had to be Gilardino.
Doesn't matter, point still stands. Ireland had their playoff place and went undefeated in a group with the world champions. This was a side to be reckoned with, and while our hearts sank when Ireland drew France in a World Cup playoff, there was still a belief that this side could pull off the impossible against a France team low on confidence. France would ultimately leave Dublin with a 1-0 lead going into the second leg. Despite the setback, Trapattoni would gather his team, head to Paris, and deliver one of the greatest performances from an Ireland side this century.
Cheated out of a place at the World Cup.
This Irish team looked at a France squad full of players like Thierry Henry, Nicolas Anelka, Karim Benzema and Gignac, and saw an opportunity. They took the game to France. Trapattoni unleashed this Irish side onto Raymond Dominique's French team. Ireland didn't just sit back all game, they attacked with anger and intention. They were desperate for that World Cup spot, and after half an hour, Ireland took the first steps towards qualification, when Damien Duff sprinted after a ball over the top, pulled it back with none other than Robbie Keane, waiting to place the ball in the back of the French net.
They've done it! Game on!
A nation erupted. 2 years ago we were getting played off the park by Cyprus. We were struggling to beat San Marino. Now we're in the Stade de France against the World Cup finalists and we're 1-0 up. With the memory of the 2-2 draw against Italy lingering in our mind, the question was, could we see this out? At the final whistle, Ireland had managed to hold on to the lead, forcing the game to go to extra time.
It's still anybody's this. France 0, Ireland 1, and 1-1 on aggregate with extra time to come.
Ireland continued to fight. Richard Dunne had one of his best performances in an Ireland shirt.
I'll tell you something about Richard Dunne. He's got the heart of a lion and the arse of a rhinoceros.
But this side had run themselves into the ground for 90 minutes, so the majority of extra time would be spent penned into our own half, while a desperate France side tried to spare their blushes. France would find their equaliser right before the half, when a lofted free kick into the box fell to Thierry Henry at the back post, who proceeded to cheatingly handle the ball with his horrible little cheating hand, before cheating it over to William Gallas to knock it home. A nation erupted again, this time in anger. Furious pleas from the Irish players led to nothing, and France would ultimately take the tie. An outrage, an insult to an entire nation. Trapattoni's Ireland had their World Cup ripped from them by one of the most disgraceful calls in the history of the competition.
A hollow victory, would you say, Matt? Yes, I would.
The FAI wouldn't forget this so quickly and complained to FIFA. Could there be a replay? Could France be banned? Should Henry be imprisoned? Would FIFA listen to our cries? Of course not. That's football. Sometimes the decisions go against you. Get over it. France would also generate way more money for the World Cup, so shut up. FIFA couldn't do nothing though, and paid off the FAI. €5 million were awarded, and thankfully the FAI were able to put that money to good use by... Ireland were also awarded a friendly against Brazil in the Emirates Stadium for some reason, which Ireland would ultimately lose 2-0. So that was it. Our World Cup hopes gone. But this side could look back on their performances and hold their heads up high. Ireland would take this hope into the next campaign.
Don't jump off a moving bus. It can cause injury or even death.
Drawn into a group with Russia, Armenia, Slovakia, Macedonia and Andorra, they were not only favourites for a playoff place, but automatic qualification was well within their grasp. The group was ultimately decided by 2 games against Russia. Dick Advocaat's men would come to Dublin on the 3rd match day and completely outclass Trapattoni's side. 3-0 down before the hour mark, Ireland had been embarrassed on their own turf. 2 goals laid on would salvage some dignity, but the damage was done. Ireland would claim that playoff place with 6 wins and 3 draws, finishing only a point off Russia in first. All that stood between Ireland and qualification was a playoff tie against Estonia. A challenge Ireland would handle with ease, with a 4-0 rout of Estonia in the away leg.
Be careful the cat. No say the cat is in the sack when you have not the cat in the sack.
And a 1-0 draw at front of the Aviva Stadium was enough to send Traps boys on their way to Poland and Ukraine. Ireland's first international tournament in 10 years. Trapattoni had restored the nation's belief in their football team.
Just listen to that, it is brilliant to hear that again around here.
The squad brought to the Euros was full of Trapattoni's usual suspects: Given, O'Shea, Dunn, McGeady, Keith Andrews.
Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Andrews.
Yeah. Give him up, baby.
Mr. Big Stuff. Who do you think you are?
Whelan, Duff, Hunt, Doyle and Captain Robbie Keane all made the plane, as well as some younger players who broke through during qualification, such as John Walters, Shane Long and James McLean.
Keith, you know the taxpayers' money being spent on this.
Excitement drained quickly, however, when Ireland were drawn into the group of death. World and European champions Spain, previous foes Italy and a young, talented Croatian side. The task was daunting, but this is Ireland. This is Giovanni Trapattoni's Ireland. The odds had been against us before, and we had gone toe-to-toe with great teams, and now we're 2 years more experienced. So why the hell not?
This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want.
Mandzukic, Serda, Mandzukic, it's in! And it broke the element! Teresic, Mandzukic!
Okay, not a good start. Our most winnable game of the group has ended in disaster, but there's still 6 points left to play for, so we're not out with this yet.
It's Danu slid in, now Torres! Now David Silva! It's got away from Ward, it's Fernando Torres!
That's 4. Cesc Fabregas.
Alright, fair enough. They are literally Spain. But we still had one more game to salvage some dignity.
Balotelli, fantastic goal!
Fuck off. We were sent home packing. The worst performing team in Euros history. Admittedly, It was a horrendous draw. Italy and Spain would meet again in the final of the tournament, where Spain would also beat Italy 4-0. So at least we weren't the only ones.
Through for Torres, they're appealing for offside, the flag has stayed down, it's 4!
But defeat still tastes bitter, no matter how you explain it.
Any night, is it good enough any night?
No.
Harrison Ford is the Blade Runner at a cinema near you.
While qualification was an amazing achievement for Ireland, who hadn't been to the Euro since 1988 and hadn't qualified for anything since the 2002 World Cup, it was Ireland's manner of defeat that caused debate in the country. Had we just gone to roll over? Had we embarrassed ourselves on the international stage? Were we just making up the numbers? Where the fuck was Andy Reid? The tension within the country would only grow when Ireland were drawn into a World Cup qualification group against Germany, Sweden, Austria, Kazakhstan and the Faroe Islands. Another tough group, but things began well when Keenan Doyle snatched a victory in Kazakhstan. 2 goals in the dying embers of the game meant Ireland would come from behind and leave with all 3 points. Not the best performance, but a win is a win.
2 goals in 2 minutes, and it will seem like Christmas Day tomorrow morning.
It was the second game where things began to unravel for Trapattoni. Germany were coming to town. Many were touting them to win the World Cup in 2014, and as historians will tell you, they did. But we've been in this position before.
Royce comes in!
World champions had come to Dublin.
Royce again!
And we hadn't shied away from them.
Ozil!
This could be our first big step towards a place in Brazil.
Some harsh realities coming in from Germany.
Cleared by O'Shea, and the effort from Kroos is in. We'll have another go.
If I was you, I'd put down the potato and listen.
Full time. Ireland 1, Germany 6.
He has contributed massively to a loss of credibility in himself.
We had been embarrassed on our own turf.
You want him to lose his job?
Well, hold on a minute now.
The national mood had shifted. Trapattoni's dissenters were growing louder and louder.
But it was depressing though, wasn't it? The whole
I
thing
tell you
was
what's depressing. It's depressing what he's done to so many players.
Ireland would cruise past the Faroe Islands in both outings and grab a draw away to Sweden, but our hopes of qualification would fall apart in our 2 games against Austria, thanks to one, David Alaba. Moments away from beating Austria in Dublin, Alaba would pop up to break Irish hearts. Ireland would then lose at home to Sweden, leaving our qualification hopes hanging by a thread. It all came down to the away match in Austria. Anything less than a win and we're done.
As the minutes ticked away, so did the Republic of Ireland's hopes of qualifying for Brazil. Poor result for Giovanni Trapattoni.
I think Trapattoni's gone.
Ireland kicked off in Vienna and needed to fight. Instead, they were hit with a barrage of Austrian attacks. The defence managed to hold out for over 80 minutes until David Alaba would pop up to break the deadlock, and Austria were able to comfortably see out the match. We came needing a win and left without even a shot on target. David Alaba put Irish hopes to bed. And that was it. Ireland's hopes of a place in Brazil were dead and buried, and Trapattoni would be sacked the next day.
Giovanni Trapattoni parted company with the Republic of Ireland on Wednesday after failing to guide the nation to next year's World Cup finals in Brazil.
Noel King would take over for Ireland's umpteen remaining qualifiers as the search for a new coach began.
Kevin Doyle's played on the right hand side umpteen times. Anthony Stokes played on the left hand side umpteen times, so this conversation is incorrect.
So the question remains, in just over a year, Trapattoni had gone from leading the nation to the European Championships to getting his P45. Where did it all go wrong?
Cycling on the road against other fellas. Well, cycling I find easier after the Feel the Galty cheese. It's cheese in a box, I promise.
The performance away in France was a turning point in the way Trapattoni's team were perceived in the media. After a group stage full of draws, Ireland had played France off the park.
Well, we proved when we played France that we can pass the ball and we can play football, and it's about being brave enough.
Are you allowed past the ball?
We are allowed.
The media wanted to know why Ireland couldn't play like this more often. criticism for Trapp started to grow during the qualifying campaign for Euro 2012.
But there must be another way than just long ball, long ball, long ball, because it wasn't working at 2-0, at 3-0, long ball. Yes.
This Ireland team were still happy taking draws and narrow victories, rarely if ever outplaying the opponent. Many were confused with this dull style of play and even accused Trapattoni of holding back this Ireland side.
But he has an obligation, Liam, to do the best job possible, regardless of qualifying. The qualifying in itself, I don't think, is enough.
The performance at Euro 2012 was simply fuel to the fire for media figures like Eamon Dunphy.
He's been an expensive mistake.
The media perception of Trapp had shifted. He would be endlessly questioned and criticised for his style of play, squad and team selection, and scouting methods, or lack thereof.
Now, I'll just make this point, Liam. There are certain basics that you have to do as an international team manager or a club manager. One of them, as an international team manager, is you have to make sure you know what talent is available to you.
He would enter the 2014 World Cup qualifiers with a mountain to climb. But as the campaign went on, things only got worse. With every disappointing draw, defeat, stale performance, the media would pile on, calling for the manager's head, and would eventually get their wish, when Trapattoni was sacked with 2 games remaining. 2 playoff places in a row had set a standard for this Irish team. Many already believed that this wasn't high enough, and falling below this standard was unacceptable. The pitchforks were out for Trapp.
I find it actually quite depressing.
Trapattoni was a man in his 70s. After 5 years in the job, Trapattoni had perhaps aged out of management. Football was a lot faster in 2013. This was the age of tiki-taka. Everyone from Barcelona to Swansea were focusing on possession and keeping the ball on the deck. Attacks all over the world were being coached how to patiently break down a low block. And while Ireland were never easy to break down, unless you're David Alaba or Germany, we'd lost the pace to our counter-attacks and struggled to snatch games when we were penned in with a well-timed break. A rigid defensive system could still work during this period if you had strong enough players, and there lies another problem. Here is the team for Trapp's first competitive game against Georgia in 2007, the team for the final match at Euro 2012, and the average starting 11 for the 2014 World Cup qualifiers. Despite large changes to the team, there was still a reliance on the spine of the team in 2007. This doesn't even include the likes of Richard Dunn, Sean St. Ledger and Keith Andrews, who still regularly made the squad. John Walters, who started every World Cup 2014 qualifier under Trapp, had emerged as one of Ireland's better players post-Euro 2012, but he was already 30. David Ford replaced Shay Given a goal after Shay retired internationally in 2012. Ford was 33. Of the young players coming through, only Seamus Coleman was of the quality of some of Ireland's best players when Trapp initially took over. The rest of the additions coming through were barely Premier League quality. Shane Long, who seemed to be the successor to Robbie Keane's throne, was 26 by the end of 2013. And while he was a great goal scorer during his time in the Championship, his most prolific season in the Premier League at this point seen him bag only 8 goals. James McCarthy was a decent Premier League midfielder for a team that had just been relegated. Darren O'Dea was playing in the MLS at the time. The 2 keepers Trapp chose to replace Shay Given were both Championship level goalkeepers, neither of which ever staked a claim that the number 1 shirt should be theirs. Ireland would only stumble into a replacement for Shay Given years later, where Darren Randolph came off the bench to replace an injured keeper by the name of Shay Given. Ireland's best replacement for a retiring Shay Given for 3 years was Shay Given. Anyway, this isn't to say the squad was terrible. Some of these players would have incredible moments in an Ireland shirt under Martin O'Neill, but there was definitely a decline in the quality of players coming through. Keane, Dunn, O'Shea, Given, Whelan are some of the best players ever to play for Ireland, and by 2013 they were either gone or past their best, and Trapattoni struggled to move on from this core group. People wanted to see this Ireland team move into the future, but with Trapp at the helm, we were stuck in the past.
And he's kind of doing the sort of honeycomb formation. The referee doesn't know what's going on. Everyone's at 6s and 7s, and he ends up in a cube.
While Trapp's time as Ireland boss ended in disappointment, it is important to remember what he brought to this nation. After the Staunton debacle, the mood around the national team was one of embarrassment, and now this team had gone undefeated against the world champions, nearly kept France out of a World Cup, and qualified with ease for the next Euros. We're not whipping boys with the elite, but a thorn on their side. Trapattoni came in and not only restored a sense of belief, but a standard for the team. A standard that O'Neill and McCarthy would hold themselves to, as Ireland would finish in the qualification playoff place for the next 3 tournaments. And a standard that Stephen Kenny would ruin by getting the dog all over.
No need to run and hide. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. No need to run and hide. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. No